So when I'm just talking about the concept of management, we need to understand how the management basically evolved. Okay, because the management is being practiced since very long time, first of all, because there are some theoretical perspective I'll discuss with you today, guys. Okay, and as we know that when we come to organizing the behavior of the people, because as we know that like we talk about from the Egyptian pyramid, we talk about industrial revolution. Okay, we talk about the worship of Venice. Okay, these all are the basic example of, you could say, management only, because whenever we talk about any you could say activity which is being performed in the history, each and everything is somehow implied management concept only, with the help of which they have actually developed some constructive things in the system. Okay, now these particular activity which I'm just calling right now, that includes your planning, organizing, leading, controlling, directing, all basic management functions. Now the basically management approaches or management evolution actually divided into five basic components. Five basic components. These components starting from the very first part, that is about the early management. Then we have the classical approach. Then we have the behavioral approach. Then we have the quantitative approach. And recent one, we're talking about the contemporary approach. I'll type it this, I think, for you. So basically, when I'm just talking about this particular component, we are actually discussing about the evolution. So evolution basically consists of five major categories. These five categories actually involve your early management. Second, we are talking right now, that is about the classical approach. Third, we have behavioral approach. Then we have quantitative approach. And the last one is contemporary approach. The last one, we have the contemporary approach. Okay. Now, when I'm just talking about all these important approaches, definitely the different era which we are discussing over here. We are talking about, this is before 1911, this era, the classical approach from 1911 classical approach start from 1911 to 1947. Then we discuss about the behavioral approach, which is from 1947 till 1960s. Okay. Then quantitative approach, it was, we can say 1960 to 1980s. This is, we're talking in the context of India right now, make sure, okay? And then we have the last one, that is about the current scenario post 1980s. Okay, now we'll discuss about this particular theoretical part. Now, when I'm just talking about the concept of early management basically related with the concept of 3000 BC till we're talking 1911 approaches. Now, these basically, you could say management approach where the Egyptian pyramid was built, the industrial revolution was actually will be given by when we talk about the arsenal of Venice, the worship of Venice we are talking right now. Then we discuss about the history of Europe, where the Adam Smith given the concept of labor management. Okay, this everything will be the part of your early management. Definitely, guys, I'm not going to discuss in detail much about this. Okay. Second one, we have the classical approach. This classical approach basically based on two important theoretical aspects. That is called the scientific management approach and general administrative approach. The scientific approach is basically given by the FW Taylor, and general approach, which general administrative approach actually given by the Fayolles. Okay, and these are two important principles we're going to cover up in the class as well. So this is basically the part of your classical approach, because classical approach is basically more based on discipline of the management. It is basically and principles which is being developed during this particular phase, and the two important pioneers, two important individuals, those who are actually keeping a particular great contribution towards the management, that exactly talk about your Fayolles principle and Taylor's principle. Okay, then we have the behavioral approach. The behavioral approach basically, if you do remember about, we discussed in the we can talk about this Maslow's need hierarchy theory. We talk about the concept of organizational behavior. We talk about the concept of Hawthorne experiments. Okay, we talk about the concept of human relationship management. We talk about the concept of ergonomic principle. This exactly will come under behavioral approaches only. Then we have the quantitative approach. Quantitative approach is basically based on total quality management, charts management, statistical analysis. This will come under quantitative approach only. And the last but not the least, that is about the contemporary approach. Contemporary approach basically is more, we can talk about the system approach. Here, system approach means we are actually talking about all the interrelated and interdependent activities of the company. And now, as you can see that in the current scenario as well, we are working in open environment. This open environment basically means that each and every organization is basically having certain level of resources available with that. Resources in terms of their inputs I'm talking right now. Input in terms of their raw material, their human resources, their capital, technology, information, and these things will be transformed into output when it comes to product and services, financial results, information, human result. These everything will be transformed from input to output because of the contemporary approach, which actually talks about the employee work activities. So this is a basic evolution I'm just talking right now. Early management, classical approaches, behavioral approaches, quantitative approaches, and contemporary approaches. Make sure this is a very, very basic and historical part, because once you start reading this, these things are very, very, very different. Okay. So that is what I'm just talking right now. That is called your 5 basic major component, which comes under, you could say, evolution of management. Okay. Now there are 2 important things which we need to discuss over here. That is about the classical approach and Taylor's approach and Weber's approach, because these 3 important theory, which will definitely cover up in our syllabus as well, that actually talks about Taylor's scientific management principles, Fayolles administrative management, and Weber's ideal bureaucracy. Because these 3 important concepts still holds good in the reality as well. Okay, so I think we should start now. I think, guys, it is clear till this point. Any doubt to anyone? Because different books having different bifurcation, make sure, of this particular evolution. Okay. Shall I move, please? The very first point, that is about the classical theory. Now, yeah, sure. Now, first of all, when I'm just talking about the classical theory, bureaucracy, okay? Bureaucracy. Anubhav will start this. I think one by one we'll discuss all these 3 topics. Okay. Right now I'm starting with the classical theory, and this 3 theory we will cover up in this. Okay, fine. So when I'm just talking about this particular classical theory is basically based on this 7 important concepts. And it is very, very important to understand as well this 7 important concepts. The first one is called your formal organization, which actually talks about division of labor, specialization, structuralism, functional process, and span of control. Now, first of all, when we talk about the very first point, what is formal organization? Formal organization is basically nothing but It is being designed or developed with the help of some authenticate, or we can say with the help of some authority and responsibility, where the line and staff management is basically built up or developed by the organization, where each and every individual is basically designated at some position in the company. They have some sort of roles and responsibility, and they have some authority and power to take decision in the organization. Now, very first important point which comes under formal organization, which calls about your division of labor. Division of labor, as everyone knows that, because in each and every organization depends on their perspective. Like, for example, I'm talking about the manufacturing industry. Under manufacturing industry, definitely there are different teams, different departments available, and different departments having different requirement of their labor. Okay, for example, if I'm talking about admin department, having different requirement of labor, marketing department, different requirement of labor. So what my point is that as per the skill set, as per the knowledge, experience of a particular individual, you need to divide a particular person, you divide your labor in certain department where he or she can perform with the best possible efficiency and effectiveness. Second point is come under specialization. Specialization is nothing but basically it is all about the knowledge base of a particular person. Knowledge base means, for example, if I'm a faculty, definitely I can work only in the educational department because that is what my core knowledge is all about, because I'm specialized in giving the trainings. I'm specialized in giving the, you could say lectures. But if someone will tell me that you need to do some marketing efforts, you have to engage in the sales department of the company, definitely that is not my specialization. Structure now. Now, when I come to structure, nothing but, as I told you, formal structure, informal structure, open structure, closed structure, rigid structure, open system of the company. Structure, nothing but basically the formulation and designing of the company's roles, responsibility, and the flow of communication from top to bottom. Okay, that is called the structure. Now, these structure, definitely we'll discuss this structure as well later on about open culture structure, closed culture structure, rigid structure, flexible structure. We'll discuss later on about this. Then we have the functional process. Functional process, nothing but basically step-by-step guideline, step-by-step, you could say blueprint of the company, how the activity will be performed or how the task will be performed in the organization. That functional process will be defined upon. And then we have the span of control. Span of control is basically more associated with control over your department. For example, if I'm a manager of a particular marketing department, being a manager of a marketing department, definitely I must have the complete control over my team or over my department, because somehow at the end of the day, I would be answerable for any ups and downs in the organization. Okay, that is called span of control. Means you must have the sufficient level of control over your department so that things would actually go smooth. Things will actually work in the planned manner as the company is expecting out of it. That is called the formal organization. Second one is structure of coordination. Now, coordination, basically we are talking right now, that is about the interdepartmental coordination. It means that coordination between sales and marketing, coordination between the accounts department and finance department, coordination between manufacturing department and purchasing department, means all those related departments, they must need to coordinate and support each other in order to increase the efficiency of the company. Then we have the ignored impact of external environment. The important thing is that because under classical theory, we are only talking about the internal management. We are not which may affect the company's, you could say, proceedings or company's operations in the long term. That is a disadvantage of classical theory, we can say. Okay. Efficiency of an organization can be increased by making each individual efficient. And it's very simple that because brick by brick, a wall can be created. A brick by brick, a wall can be created. That's a very simple example we currently have, because you need to focus on the root cause. We need to start on the micro in order to achieve the macro result for the organization. Okay. Then we have the centralization of the authority. Centralization of authority is basically nothing but the power where things will be controlled. Okay, because sometimes there are certain companies where the authority and decision-making power is distributed among different departments or different levels. But there are some companies, because see, there are two things. The companies may work on centralization, may work on decentralization. If the company is centralized, means each and everything, every decision will be taken by one authority only. or one department only. But when things are decentralized, means each and every department having certain power in order to take decision by for their department or for their subunits, we can say. That is called centralization of authority. In case of any conflict, interest of organization must prevail. As you know that, because conflict is a very, very common phenomena in the organization. There might be having some disputes in the company. How we can resolve those disputes? The dispute resolution is possible, but important thing is that the dispute may be resolved and the solution will be we can say find out only when, if it does not affect the company's vision and company's objective and company's mission in the long run. Okay, you can support your employees in the conflict. You can support, you can see your team member, but the demand or the question or the query which is being raised by the, you could say, department personnel, definitely it should not be over the interests of the organization. Okay, then you're the rational economic person. Means we know that because if the particular person is performing well, you need to keep in mind that how that particular individual must be rewarded economically. Definitely there should be some sort of motivation which you must need to provide it to them. That motivation may be financial rewards, non-financial rewards, bonus, bonus share, we can say, anything it could be. Okay, so there are very basic features we have for the classical theory. Now the third point which is being asked by Sandeep, ignored impact of external environment, because the theory of classical, you could say, approach does not consider the external environment or we can dynamic environment. That is a disadvantage of this theory actually, because the theory is only focusing on the internal management efficiency. Sandeep, clear? Perfect. Any more doubt, please? Any of the point? Okay. Anyone else, guys? Any other point? Point number 6. In case of any conflict, interest of organization will prevail. Because as you know that whenever we talk about any organization, the conflict and the difference of, you could say, opinion is always there. For example, you are working in a company and the company thinks that you could say by acquiring one marketing agency to promote the company, we may be able to increase our sales. Okay, but the marketing agency which you gonna to hire, does it actually give the benefit to you? Because different person having different approach or different way how they want to market their product or market their company. Okay, Anubhav might be in some favor that this is the best company which we should hire. We can say about Sandeep might have some different opinion about different companies. Okay, because different agencies having different efficiency level or different perspective level about that. Okay, so that's my point, is that because in case if two person having few conflicting view or different opinion about the same, the important thing is that the decision should be taken in such a manner that it will not affect the company's progress in the long run. That is called the in case of conflict. Clear? Yes, definitely. Interest means we can say, Anubhav, here about point of view. Okay, your point of view may differ from your colleague about any decision in the company. That may arise some conflict. But important thing is that the manager must need to hear only those things. It's not about ego problem actually. It's all about who is right, who is wrong. Because see, no one is wrong at that place. You might have some different thinking process to take that decision. Okay, Darshan 4 and 5. See, 5 is basically more about the authority, those who are taking decision. There is only one department, that is called centralization. If there are multiple departments available to take decision, that is called decentralization. Means each and every department having the power to take decision. And fourth, about the efficiency, because Company can only improve the efficiency in the organization when they are focusing on individual. Means brick by brick, you can build a wall. Okay, means you need to start at the grassroots, at the root level of the company, and then you can only build up a team, a very strong team, or efficient team in the organization. Darshan. Clear, Darshan, I think. Anubhav's clear. Okay. Sandeep, clear. Yes, perfect. Yes, yes, definitely. Economic rewards means financial incentives. Yes. Clear? Perfect. Everyone? Sure. Ranvi, just some parts are clear. Which is not clear, tell me. We can discuss. Okay, guys, perfect. Let's move to the next slide.